Alright, we're back. So let's see, the last time we did this, we talked about Resident Evil 1, which was released in 1996. We talked about how influential it was, we talked about how it scared the living shit out of us, well, me, at least, I'll be honest. How, like, the camera angles and all the different controls, like, it was just a very unique experience, and honestly, to this day, I would be almost willing to admit that it was probably the best survival horror game to date. And I honestly think it would have stayed that way if it wasn't for the year 2002. In 2002, Capcom released a game known on the GameCube as Resident Evil, or RE, isn't it evil, or Remake. It's had many names. Now at first, I remember being under the impression that it was just like a port or an HD remastering coming to the GameCube, much like they did with Resident Evil 2 for Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast, things like that. But then I started to see the screenshots. The screenshots would show locations of the game redone and remastered. Huge, drastic differences. I mean, the crap almost looked real compared to the old game. It was phenomenal. And then, I remember seeing the first trailer for the game. Wow. I remember that so vividly. I was so excited. I was so excited. I mean, it was like a whole new game. Seeing the classic zombies so alive. I mean, they weren't stiff well, they were stiff. As a zombie would be stiff, but they weren't stiff, crappy polygons. They looked amazing. And when I say this, it makes it sound like the old Resident Evil game wasn't graphically that impressive, but for its time it was. But this was just so much more awe-inspiring. And I'm reliving it now just thinking about that trailer. It was such a great moment for me as a fan of Resident Evil. Anyways, I mean, it was really exciting for me. And I know by mentioning Resident Evil Remake, I'm totally neglecting a bunch of games such as, you can't review this game if you don't mention Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil Gaiden Survivor, Resident Evil Survivor 2, Code Veronica. Seriously, shut up. I was just about to say that. I mean, I was wondering why you chose to sit here. Would you just get out of here? I have a review to do. Anyways. Now I want to talk about this game first before I talk about any of the other ones, because this one added a lot of new features, not only in graphics and the style of gameplay, but it also added a lot more to the plot that made the other stories from here out a bit more coherent. And I do think another surprise that came around with the release of this game was the fact that it released on the Nintendo GameCube, and only on Nintendo GameCube. And really, at that point, Nintendo wasn't well known for third-party developers, especially ones so violent. I mean, do you remember seeing Chris's head get popped off in the trailer? Granted, I mean, that was edited when it came to America, and Chris's head never got popped off. But it did show it in the trailer. A Nintendo trailer. And, like I said previously, this was only exclusive for Nintendo. You could only play it on the GameCube, and eventually down the road on the Wii. That was the only place that you could actually... You could download it on your computer and play it illegally. That's illegal, smartass. Your mom's illegal. Okay, I thought I told you to leave. You need to leave. Just go so I can get through this review. What? No, I didn't... Oh, put it back. Whatever. Like I was saying though, you can play it on the GameCube or the Wii. The Wii really didn't add anything new or specific to it. So, I mean, GameCube's just as good as quality. And really, you can get either one for like 20 bucks online. So now, once you watch this review, you'll realize how great the game is, and you'll know where to buy it for an affordable price. Now, of course, right off the start, you can see the differences. The intro has even been replaced with a CGI cutscene, which really allows for the game to feel more like one solid piece. The cutscenes have all been redone too, not just with the new backdrops, but the voice acting has been rewritten and re-recorded with new voice actors. I definitely wouldn't say that the voice acting was at its best.
Take care of yourself, Rebecca. Richard.
Don't talk.
But it was a huge step up, and it fit this world much better. I kind of failed to dive into voice acting in the first review. It was just so bad. There is this famous line that's just getting notorious attention. In the scene, Jill is almost crushed, and I'll just show you. It'll be easier that way.
The Jill sandwich, it's such a huge thing for Resident Evil fans, and you know damn well it didn't come from clever writing. It was so memorable because of the voice actors at the time.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right. Barry, thanks for saving my life.
God, it felt like a raunchy porn. I really expected that to be Barry's one-liner to get Jill naked. Thankfully, that's not what happened, but to this damn day, that line has lived on with fans of the series. They've cleaned it up a bit in the remake here, which I can show you, but it's really not that much better.
Barry.
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
Really?
I guess they couldn't abandon the scene since it became such a big deal, and they realized how stupid that line really was. I don't know. Hell, it's even a restaurant in the Willamette Parkview Mall in Colorado.
For the most part, the game played the same, with the controls, with a few improvements.
You still spend a lot of time wandering around the mansion and exploring shelves, clicking the A button on everything to examine it. Really, you didn't have to do this, but it helped you find ammo. I mean, in some parts of the game, it was in the worst places imaginable.
Seriously, how would anyone know to click A right there? And just to find shotgun shells? I mean, I can't really complain though, because I enjoyed searching the mansion to its fullest. I enjoyed finding all the journals and reading those, so I did enjoy that part of exploration, but some of it was so unclear that there was something there. Maybe it's a secret, I don't know.
One thing that was added to this game was the famous 180-degree turnaround, which in these older Resident Evils where you had to stand still to shoot with all the static cameras, this was a major plus. By just popping the C-stick down on the gamepad, your character would quickly turn around, which allowed quicker escapes in tight situations. In old games, you had to slowly turn your character around, and sometimes before you could even get all the way turned around to run, your ass got attacked. So, you know, that was a nice new addition to the controls. They also added quick attack weapons. Chris had explosive grenades, and Jill had a taser. There were also little daggers that could be used. In those close quarter moments when the zombies grabbed a hold of you, if you had one of these weapons equipped in the inventory system, you were able to use them when being attacked, so you could quickly get away. With grenades, once you placed it, you could step back and just shoot the grenade to quickly blow the zombie's head off. But that isn't to say that this game got easier with these improvements. Actually, the game got a lot harder.
The game also added a lighter and a kerosene bottle, which of course took up more inventory slots. Now, Chris already had a lighter equipped that didn't take up one of the main inventory slots, so technically you only had to carry the kerosene bottle, but the way it kind of levels out is Jill always carries a lockpick that doesn't take up a spot, so then she had to carry kerosene bottle and the lighter as two. So if you were playing as Chris, if you ever wanted to unlock an easy lockpick door, you had to carry the lockpick as opposed to carrying the lighter. So really it was kind of unnecessary. I guess that just makes Jill the master of unlocking. But that's one of the things that happened. There's a document that you find in the mansion that explains that the only way to kill a zombie is to pop their heads off by shooting them, or to burn them. Of course, the first time that I played Resident Evil was the classic version, and I just played right through it. I never burnt bodies, I never popped off heads. So in my opinion, having to carry that kerosene and that lighter, or, you know, whatever, lockpicks, I mean, it was 2 extra inventory slots, so it wasn't worth it to me. Not to mention, if you chose to carry the kerosene around and burn the zombie bodies, you could only carry 3 spills, per se, and you would have to fill those up every time you do 3. I did 3. Oh, I'm out of kerosene. So you'd have to walk away all over the mansion trying to find these big kerosene jugs to fill it back up. And those big kerosene jugs would actually empty out too. So it got to be a little bit of a frustration, and just, granted it made you spend more time in the mansion exploring, but it was just more annoying. So for my first playthrough, I didn't burn any of the bodies. I didn't do that. And the funny thing is, you realize halfway through the game how important it is to burn those bodies.
May I introduce Crimson Heads? These damn things scared the hell out of me the first time I played through. As you play through the game and kill zombies, the bodies stay on the ground, even if you leave a room and return later. At the time, I just found this as an improvement and more realistic for the remake. Little did I know that it was a ploy for Capcom to scare the shit out of me.
You dirty bastards.
So about midway into the game, You may be walking back through a section of the game and, oh crap! One of those dead bodies would quickly jump up and chase you, and I mean chase you, a la sprinters from the remake of Dawn of the Dead. They slash their arms at you with long-ass claws and can kill you so quickly. They also are a lot harder to kill, let alone by the time you stand in place and raise your gun, he's already eating your frickin' soul. So, I mean, that was a new addition that made the game harder. And of course, this could all be prevented if you just burnt the damn bodies or got headshots, which, as far as I'm concerned, seem to be random lucky moments. I'm not sure if there is a science for the headshots, unless you shove a damn grenade in his mouth. That works.
This game franchise owes a lot to my biggest fears. I mean, I'm honestly obsessed with zombies due to this game series. As a kid, these games really scared me. Actually, I'm not even gonna deny it. These games, in the right setting, in a dark room with the surround on, they can still get the GBs into you, especially the old classics. Definitely. Honestly, I hate spiders due to this very f***ing game. You're just running along, exploring the mansion, coming around corners, and then all of a sudden, big fucking spider falls from the ceiling. Dude, scared the freaking crap out of me the first time I ever did that. And to this day, when I walk around the house and I see a little spider, no, I relive that moment and I get scared that he's gonna get big one day and then he'll just be mad at me and he'll drop from the ceiling and kill me. So I don't kill spiders. This game scared the shit out of me with those things. And then they did this remake and then these spiders look so realistic and just disgusting. Ugh. And that's not even to mention, most enemies in this game, giant snakes, freaking giant bees or wasps or whatever the hell they were, the Plant 42. I mean, this game could really creep you out with some of these big sharks. No, Richard! Oh god, so terrible. So scary though. So honestly, thank you, Capcom, for giving me and justifying reasons for hating my biggest fears today.
Trevor Clark has had his say to help you find good games to play. Game reviews, tattoos, and news. Poning noobs you'll never lose with Trevor.